introduction. Thank you very much, Senate President Enrile, for being our honored speaker today and for giving a fascinating story of the first of those 4 days of EDSA. Thank you, Senator Honasan, for being with us once again. I remember we celebrated EDSA together several years ago, way back in 2002. I'd like to greet also, of course, the men and women of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, led by General Alexander Riano, and to greet Secretary Gilbert Teodoro, who helps me to do my work as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. I would like to greet and thank and congratulate the leaders of the EDSA Commission, led by Commissioner Christopher Carrion, the EDSA People Power Commission that organizes the celebration of the 4 days of EDSA. Members of the Diplomatic Corps, led by His Excellency the Papal Nuncio, our veterans, with whom we'll have another celebration on Monday, the leaders and members of the RAM, whose role in EDSA we especially recognize today, the future of our country, our youth, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed an honor to launch this year's celebration of the 4 days of EDSA 1 in the company of that band of soldiers who chose to draw the line in the sand 23 years ago today. And we heard the story of how it started from the leader of that band, the leader of RAM, now Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile, and how 4 of them helped him to plan the events of that day and onwards. And as Senate President Enrile was talking about and revealing to us, for many of us, for the first time, who were those who started it all with him that day, lunchtime on the 22nd, I couldn't help but realize how things have indeed come a lot close to full circle, because those men he mentioned in that meeting, that crucial meeting that he had, are now all very much part of the leadership of our country today. We have, for example, aside from then Minister Enrile being the 3rd highest ranking official in the country today as Senate President, we have Senator Greg Honasan on his 2nd term as senator. And Senate President Enrile mentioned as the first name was Noe Wong. Now I know why. He worked so hard so that I would appoint Noe Wong now as ambassador to Cambodia, and I'm very glad I did. And Red Kapunan is our deputy head of the newly created Civil Aeronautics Authority of the Philippines. So we are very happy to have them in government service and to help us with what Senate President Enrile says we must continue to do, and that is reform and good government. Going back to EDSA 1 of 1986, and especially realizing it even more after hearing the account of the Senate President, we know now more than ever that if the patriots had not acted when they did, if those soldiers had not acted when they did, planning boldly, improvising on the way, but always moving forward decisively, then that historical watershed might never have taken place. And of course, we all know that had the Filipino masses not taken their side so quickly, the soldiers holed up in Camp Aguinaldo and Crame might have been crushed and the whole episode reduced to a footnote in history. But our people took to the streets in support of that band of soldiers led by their Minister of Defense. Sa kahabaan ng EDSA, mula sa harap ng krame at aginaldo, walang sandata kundi ang pusong nagliliyab sa pagmamahal sa bayan at maimtim na paniniwala sa Diyos. So together, we, soldiers and people, reclaimed democracy. The world embraced EDSA 1 in 1986. The world tolerated EDSA 2 in 2001. The world will not forgive an EDSA 3, but would instead condemn the Philippines as a country whose political system is hopelessly unstable. And Senate President Enrile talked about the world crisis today. Our political stability today is one of the reasons why we have escaped thus far the worst effects of the global recession. If boldness is required of us today, it is the boldness that we must exercise to prevent the world crisis from becoming a Philippine crisis and to protect those among our people most hurt by the global downturn. I did not want to speak today. I wanted Senate President to be the main guest speaker. But he said, no, it's protocol. No, he cannot speak if the President is not going to speak. So I am speaking only very briefly to give just a small addition to all the fascinating stories that he told us, and to give a small response to that indeed we must honor the boldness of the leaders of EDSA, as we honor the boldness of our ordinary countrymen who went out into the street with no weapons but their faith. And indeed, we must celebrate the boldness of our faith in God, which we need today as much as we needed it then. Yes, let us go back to those 4 days of EDSA 1, not to relive them, for history must move on, but rather to recall their lessons and refresh our spirit as a people against the new challenges of today. So, in closing, thank you, Senate President, for being with us and for giving a beautiful story that we must all know about. Thank you, Senator Honasan, for being with us once again. And to all the members of RAM who are here with us today, thank you. The country honors you. The country honors all the Filipino people. Let us all go back to our work after this, living EDSA, living the boldness required to answer the challenges of the day. Sa inyong lahat, mabuhay ang EDSA, mabuhay mga bayani ng EDSA, ang sabayanang Pilipino. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.